They will walk them through processes such as writing their resume, practicing for interviews, and even trying to figure out what job title will be the best match for them. Specifically, New York is one of my favorite places in the world, but I think an exceptional place to be a student.
What about, let's say, accommodation or, let's say, mental support?
Welcome to On Spotlight, a podcast series where we shed some light on your foreign education queries. Hi, I'm Jwalin Rao, Director at Rao Consultants. Over the years, we've been privileged to walk alongside students as they navigate their study abroad journey, facing questions, excitement, and sometimes uncertainty. That's why we're launching On Spotlight, a podcast where we'll talk with universities, industry experts, and inspiring alumni who are going to share their stories and advices that can help you make informed choices about your future.
So joining us today, we have Beatrice, who's the Assistant Director for Admissions at New York Institute of Technology. So Beatrice, before we start talking about NYIT, if you could talk a little bit about yourself, what your background is. I believe you studied at NYU.
Yes.
And then if you could talk something about yourself before we dive into NYIT.
Sure, absolutely. So I studied English literature in my undergraduate and master's studies at NYU. Coming out of that, I was working initially in a marketing position. After a while, my marketing position ended up being much more direct sales focused, which was less to my interest. But I have always harbored a strong passion for higher education, specifically international education. My father was an international student to the United States. So that really drove my interest and passion in the industry. So when my marketing job turned more sales focused, it was a really great opportunity for me to pivot into something that was more related to one of my passions. So, yeah.
So the objective of this podcast is we try and answer all those questions that students may have.
Okay.
And I'll try my best to ask questions from the student's perspective so that it's easier for students to decide. I think before we start talking about NYIT, I think it's easier to talk about US as a study abroad destination. How do you think it compares to other popular destinations? And because you've studied at NYU yourself, how does New York compare to a lot of other popular destinations?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the strongest benefits to studying in the United States is that we are unique in having a more well-rounded or the liberal arts education. So in most parts of the world, when you go for a college degree, all parts of your education are going to be geared towards your primary focus of study. So say you're an engineering student, all of your coursework in most universities will be geared towards engineering. However, when you study in the United States, you will also be taking classes in writing, psychology, history as part of your curriculum, even if you are an engineering student. So this, I think, is a very strong advantage as it develops professionals who are very well-rounded and have very good global and social context for their professional pursuits. Specifically, New York is one of my favorite places in the world, but I think an exceptional place to be a student. The international and domestic communities there are very rich and diverse, both in background and in interest. So whether you want to attend a Broadway show, have your own startup, or even go rock climbing, there's something for everyone there, and you'll be able to be a part of a community. In addition to that, there are so many universities in the area that allows for very strong academic pursuits and explorations. So there's often a lot of collaboration between those universities as well. So whether you're looking for cutting edge lab space, very large libraries, or other such resources, New York has those available to you.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we won't really take a lot of time with talking about USA because I think students would already be aware. So NYIT, what are the core values of NYIT, and how do you think, because I think it's an old institute, when was it established and how do you think these values have changed over the years?
Absolutely. So NYIT, compared to other universities, even in New York, is relatively young. We were founded in the early 1950s, so not even less than 100 years old. However, what has started as our founding principle and is still one of our core values is career readiness. So the university itself was developed around the idea of creating courses that prepare students for the workforce or for their chosen profession. So almost all of our faculty are still working professionally in their field as well as teaching, and they develop their classes and their coursework based around what they see the demands in their industries are.
So something I was reading about is NYIT's how 3D CGI came into play.
Yes.
If you could throw some light on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our claims to fame at NYIT is one of the founding members of Pixar actually got their start in our digital arts program. So that goes into the CGI and 3D aspect of it. That has a very strong history with the development labs at our school. But whether it's game design or animation or just regular graphic design for, say, a website, those facilities are very strong and one of our strongest assets at our university.
I think NYIT is some 3 buildings, and it's broken down into.
So NYIT has 2 campuses. I am based on the New York City campus, which is 1 block from Central Park in Columbus Circle. We have 6 buildings in the New York City area, so all of our facilities are stacked vertically. So everything from libraries and labs to classroom spaces to recreational facilities. We also have our 176-acre Long Island campus. This is a very traditional American-style campus with the rolling green hills and brick buildings. So students can really choose which is going to be that better setting for them.
How would you describe the campus if you had to? So what we'll do is we'll throw visuals as you describe the campus. And if you could talk about some of the key attractions within the campus.
Absolutely. So for our New York City campus, being just 1 block from Central Park and Columbus Circle, it is in the heart of Manhattan. So you are 15 minutes from Times Square, 20 minutes from the Brooklyn Bridge, 10 minutes from Broadway, so that there's very much like you are in the heart of everything. So you have access to all of those things as soon as you step out of the classroom, whether you're looking for a really great dosa cart or you are looking for an excellent museum such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So that is all available for you. Our Long Island campus is, like I said, a very traditional style campus. So if you're looking for a much more relaxed mode of study, it is rolling green hills, a much smaller, closer knit community. It's however also only 1 hour outside of the city. So say you want to get into the city on the weekend, that is very easily accessible by train.
So something I heard about, international students that end up coming to the New York City campus, they don't exactly live within the vicinity. So I think how would you describe living in Manhattan? Because I think it's one of the world's most expensive places to be in.
Absolutely.
And then I think students travel back and forth from Jersey.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the area of the city where our campus is located is one of the most central, popular areas of the city. A result of this is that housing is astronomical, like within that area. Nobody really lives there that attends a school. I do not live in that area myself.
Oh, wow.
So typically students will live a little bit further away, maybe 20 or 30 minutes by public transportation, and they're able to find very affordable housing options, whether it be further away in Manhattan or Brooklyn, or we do have a large number of our international students who choose to live in Jersey City or Hoboken, which is still only about 30 minutes by public transportation, even though it is across the river in New Jersey.
And what about with the Long Island campus? I believe you would have a lot of housing nearby.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have dorm facilities available for both campuses, but on Long Island, whether you're choosing to live in the dorm or in an apartment, it is still going to be a little bit less expensive than living, say, in Manhattan or Brooklyn. However, we do offer the housing facilities for students. We find that specifically our undergraduate or first-year students are typically the ones who prefer to live in housing for at least 1 year.
So we were talking about New York City being like a super fast in terms of social life. How do you think that impacts students' education or student life in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times students say they're learning just as much out of the classroom as they are in the classroom. New York never sleeps and never stops. And so whether you're looking for an internship or just learning more about American culture or pop culture, there's going to be something happening outside the classroom as well. I think that it really reminds students of the context in which they are receiving their education. So rather than just spending 4 years very focused in isolation on their academics, they are constantly reminded of the job market, the political environment that they are coming of age in and that they are about to enter the workforce in. So it is constantly keeping them in that context.
Oh, wow. So let's get into what matters most for the students, or what I'd like to call creme de la creme. If you could run us through program offerings with NYIT?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have over 70 different program offerings across our undergraduate and graduate levels. I would say definitely among our international students, most popular are computer science, engineering, and business. However, we also have very strong offerings in architecture, digital art, and design. So all of those programs are available across both of our campuses. I would say that for the undergraduate students, again, computer science and business are definitely the top 2. And for our graduate students, probably cybersecurity and data science.
Oh, wow. And so what we want to do is we want to put all the required links for students to refer to. So we'll put on program list. Now, for students coming from other countries to study in the US, first question is it's expensive. So what is the costing like, and what are the scholarship opportunities that students get?
Absolutely. So the pricing is a little bit different for our undergraduate and graduate programs. For our undergraduate programs, tuition is about $46,000 per year. We do offer scholarships for our undergraduate students up to $30,000 per year. They're automatically considered for these scholarships when they apply, so there's no separate application for that. And these scholarships are merit-based, so based on their grades in high school. For our graduate students, the tuition is about $1,600 per credit. So their specific tuition each semester or year will be dependent on their specific program and exactly how many classes they take. However, on average for our master's students, that's about $30,000 per year. In terms of scholarships at the graduate level, we do offer merit-based scholarship up to $3,750 per year, and it will be based on their grades and their bachelor's degree coursework.
Right. So what do you notice students doing post-graduating from NYIT? What are some of the popular career paths that you see?
So definitely the tech industry is booming for our students. Being a technology-based school, this of course makes sense. But we currently have alumni working at Google, Amazon, Tesla. So any of the large both digital companies and mechanical companies, I suppose, such as Tesla. We do also currently have a student from our aerospace program who is interning with NASA, and that is something we're very proud of. However, regardless of the area you wish to pursue your career in, we do have an alumni network of over 111,000 students worldwide in every industry from fashion and business to banking and tech. So we have someone placed probably in almost every industry to help you find placement.
And how does NYIT support its international students with OPT and CPT?
So we have our Office of Student Success and Experiential Education that is dedicated to assisting students with this process. This office is available to students from the very first day they arrive on campus for the entire rest of their lives to assist with this. They will walk them through processes such as writing their resume, practicing for interviews, and even trying to figure out what job title will be the best match for them. Because of this, we do boast a 97% job placement rate. So within 6 months of graduation, 97% of our graduates are employed full-time.
Oh, wow. So another thing we do on this podcast is we talk about, some of the really good traditions and culture at NYIT. If you could give example of some traditions that you have on campus.
We do have every winter where students get very excited. We have a Flurry Fest. So that is involves on both the Long Island campus and the New York City campus. We take students ice skating when the weather starts to turn. So students get very excited about this. They dress up in hats and mittens. We serve all kinds of hot chocolate and snacks, and students get to ice skate and socialize. It's a really great break from just as things are getting into midterm season and getting very busy. But that is one of the most beloved traditions on campus. Students very much look forward to it.
Oh, wow. And what are some of the other things that NYIT does to support its international students apart from helping them with OPT and CPT? What about, let's say, accommodation, or let's say mental support, or what are some of those things?
Absolutely. So there's a couple different things we have unique for our international student community. So one is a mentorship program that we just started about a year ago, where students who are interested can be matched with another international student in their program of study who is a year or two ahead of them, who can really talk them through, like, these were the difficulties I had and how I overcame them, or this class really helped me, or this professor requires a lot of extra reading, just to give them a little bit more inside scoop. We do also have full mental health services available for all of our students at no cost that they can access on either campus. So whether they are dealing with culture shock, homesickness, or just in general adjusting to life as a college student, we'll have supports in place to walk them through that process.
Could you throw some light on some of the achievements that students of NYIT or professors of NYIT or NYIT as an institute has done?
Sure. So we have a very heavy interest in research, and so one of the things we're proudest of in this most recent year is that we have just opened a new virtual reality lab. And so one of the things we like to offer for our students is that all of our lab facilities are available for both classwork and independent projects. So we have funding and lab space, including this virtual reality lab, available for independent research projects from students. And they have taken to that very quickly and have taken good advantage.
Oh, wow. So NYIT being a fairly young institute, how do you think, what is the vision for NYIT for the next decade or so?
Yeah, absolutely. So, being a young institute and being a tech focused institute, we are looking to constantly keep our fingers on the pulse of the market and adapt to the changing needs. So, for example, even in the last 5 years, there has been a massive shift in what tech jobs look like, right? With the increasing prevalence of artificial intelligence, the job market has changed dramatically. So our courses and our professors are continuing to evolve what our academic and research opportunities look like to match those needs. So we look forward to continuing to evolve with the market.
So you've shared a lot of insight for students wanting to study in the US. Let's say if somebody, maybe hopefully after watching this video, decides to come study at NYIT. So what advice would you have for them? What is one piece of advice that you'd like to share?
My advice would be to try a little bit of everything, whether that's inside or outside the classroom. Specifically for undergraduate students, 18 years old is a very young time to have figured out exactly what you want for the rest of your life. So do not be afraid if in your first year your entire plan for your studies changes. Let yourself grow and experience and change as you're learning and meeting new opportunities.
Oh wow, it was wonderful having you. I've learned a lot. Maybe I'd want to start studying at NYIT myself. Okay, thank you so much for coming. It was really insightful. It was lovely meeting you, and hopefully we'll catch up in New York City,
Yes.
maybe this year.